local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com.
Art Lewis Show, Thursday edition on WSGW, but not with Art Lewis. Art's had to take a quick day off today. He will return tomorrow. So in lieu of Art being here, I'll be here for you. And my name is Charlie Rood. Thank you for joining on the Thursday edition of Art's Show. We'll be here for this hour and our 10 o'clock hour and Focus Show at 11. Focus is going to be on the Saginaw area fireworks. Our 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have some special guests related to a shelter house. And in this hour, we're going to start by having a special conversation as a special ceremony is coming up in a few months. But as always, it'll be here before you know it. And we want to welcome a special guest associated with the ceremony. And that would be you, the athletic director with Bay City Central High School and the president of the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame, Jennifer, is it Jennifer Thunberg?
Thunberg, just like thunder and lightning.
I like for person in sports, I like that. Thank you. Jennifer, thank you for joining us too, by the way, this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. It won't be long before Bay County Sports Hall of Fame induction time is taking place. I know you've gone through the process of having to have all the nominees checked, and you have announced those that will be inducted. Let me start first of all, just so listeners know exactly when this is going to take place. You're planning your ceremony, in November?
Yeah, November 13th is our induction ceremony, and it's a Sunday. We have it at the DoubleTree here in Bay City, and it's open to whoever wants to attend. Obviously, you got to purchase a ticket, but we encourage anyone who has a love for sports in Bay County to come on out and see who's being inducted this year.
And for tickets and information, we send them where? Phone numbers, online? What do we do?
So we have a website. It is BayCountySportsHallOfFame.com. There's information there. You can also call me directly at my school number, which is 989-891-0602. Or you can also email us, BayCountySportsHallOfFame@gmail.com. So there's a lot of ways to get in touch with us. Usually the quickest response is through email, and usually the website directs you to the email as well.
All right. And for you, Jennifer, boy, not just busy enough being the Bay City Central athletic director,
Yes.
because there's a great sports presence within Bay City Central. I mean, all of Bay City we know, and each of the schools certainly have their own presence and a lot of attention that's necessary. How did you get involved in the Sports Hall of Fame?
Well, actually, I got involved when I was the athletic director at Pinconning High School. That's where I had my first gig as an administrator, and they were looking to reach into northern Bay County a little more. Pinconning High School is part of Bay County. A lot of people don't know that, and they were looking for some more representation in that area. And so they asked me to be on the board and be involved, and then, as with many things, you just kind of keep getting more involved, and next thing you know, I'm still doing this, and I'm currently the president. So
when did that start? When did they
so I was in Pinconning I went there in 2008, and I think I got on the board, I want to say it was 2010 is when I officially joined the board. So I've been involved for 12 years now.
All right. And president for how long?
This will be my 5th year as the president. I had to think about that. So the only other president of our group, OJ Cunningham, had been a long time, and he was on the board. And he talked me into staying involved and staying part of this. And I'll be honest, it is great to dig into the history of Bay County sports. I have a love for sports. I've chosen a career in that, and to be part of this and to make sure that we're honoring some people from the past and making sure we don't forget all the cool things that have happened here. It's been a good experience.
And for those who don't know, we should explain when we talk about the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame location and how people can visit to enjoy the Hall of Fame.
So our main display used to be at the Bay County Community Center, and we have since outgrown that spot, and we moved to the Dow Bay Area Family Y. where we have a display of the names and an electronic display where you can look through our inductees. So that's the main house for it now. It's a little more visible as, like I said, we were just outgrowing the space at the community center. We didn't have any more wall space to put things up. So we kind of redesigned and moved there a few years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was just within the past several years, wasn't it? That
Yes,
that took
yes.
place. All right, and of course, each year you have to have nominees to decide who's going to be inducted for that year. Let's talk about that process for nominations. And I've got the list here, and it's like, wow, it's fun to read some of those names. Some I recognize, and some are like, oh man, I didn't realize that. That's some cool stories you have. How does the nomination process take place?
So we have a nomination form on our website, and anybody can be nominated. The key thing is you have to have ties to Bay County, either born in Bay County or crafted, your skill was in Bay County. You have to have an attachment, obviously. But anybody can go on and nominate someone that they feel is worthy of being looked at for our Hall of Fame. And once you're nominated on that form, you are forever in our nomination database. Like, it's there forever. We revisit it every year. We have a committee that puts our ballot together each year. So we do encourage people as time goes on, and maybe you put in a nomination 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that you reach out to us and remind us that it's there, because there are many nominations in that database. I would say last time it was, I think it's well over 200 names that are in there right now. And we put together a ballot each year between January and March. That's usually when we're working on the ballot. So to be considered for the ballot at that time, the nomination has to be in by the previous year, December 31st. If the nomination's not in at that point, they would not be considered until the following year. So we put our ballot together, and we try to come up with anywhere between 18 to 22 for the ballot, depending on just lots of factors when we're putting that ballot together. But the committee works on that, puts that ballot together, sends it out, and now we are where we are, where we have our inductees for this year.
Tough enough to choose the inductees from the nominations, but how do you call several hundred names down to just 20 nominations?
Well, and that's, we try to look at many different things. We try to cover as many different sports as we can. We try to look at decades, maybe names that have been forgotten over time, because they simply were awesome, but it's been 60 years since their name has come up. So we really try hard to look at all of those things. And like I said, it doesn't hurt if people, after a while, if they've nominated, they maybe reach out and say, hey, I've got some more information, or please don't forget about so-and-so. Because as you're looking through that, it can get very mind numbing, and you can really start to see all the names, and they all look good. They all are great. So you want to get that nice, well-rounded group of people there, so that we're hitting all the high points.
We're going to take a break in just a moment, and then we'll talk about this year's induction class. Another question on nominations, though. If I understand correctly, you do individuals, but you also include teams. Do you have a set process of, we're going to select this number of individuals and these teams that we include, or how do you?
Yeah, so we tried, the voters can vote for 7 individuals. And then from there, based on the results, we either induct 7, sometimes we induct 8 or 9, just based on, maybe there were 2 that were only a couple votes apart and they're really close. And we're like, we'll put in another person this year, just because the voting was so close together on that. And then with the teams, we have a big, huge, long list of teams. And we started with state champions. We went through all the state champions, and we were moving through that list on a year basis. We, once again, starting with the teams that are from the past further. We want to try and get people in while they're still around, and people remember who they are. And then we have moved into state runner-ups and Final Four teams. We've stuck with teams like that. So once again, we have this huge, long list of that. Those teams don't need to be nominated. We know who those teams are. And we're just kind of doing that in an order based on the years and getting them in there. And we started with state champions, like I said. We do have a couple state champions we haven't put in yet, just because those state champions have been so recent. And we feel that it's more, I would say, appreciated as people get a little bit older and they've been out for a while. It's a lot easier to induct somebody in their 30s and 40s than to take a 25-year-old who maybe doesn't understand the whole how cool it is at that point. So we do have a couple state champions that we're holding on to for a little bit just based on their pretty recent.
All right, Jonathan Thunberg, we're going to take a break here and come back with more in just a moment. We're talking about the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame. The induction class is in and the ceremony happening in November. We'll remind you about that and continue the conversation next. Charlie on the Art Lewis Show here on WSGW.
What's the most important part of a retirement plan?
Income is king because we only need income. And if you don't have an income plan, you don't have a retirement plan.
That's Kevin Ray, financial coach at Insight Folios. Kevin tells his listeners every week about the importance of income planning, minimizing taxes, and strategies to lead a worry-free retirement. Learn all about that and get your own complimentary financial review by calling 888-885-PLAN. That's 888-885-7526.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital. Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com. I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
When state bureaucrats threaten doctors over their COVID treatments, Representative Annette Glenn backed the bureaucrats down. Dr. John Fenninger said Annette Glenn's actions, quote, may have saved many lives. Paid for by Annette Glenn for State Senate.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
A fresh reading on inflation. The report favored by the Federal Reserve is starting to show some improvement. The Personal Consumption Price Index in May rose 0.6% because of higher prices for food and gas. However, the rate of inflation over the past year was unchanged at 6.3%. The core PCE, which does not include volatile food and energy costs, rose by a modest 0.3%, and for the year ending in May, it slowed to 4.7%. The number of new claims for unemployment benefits declined to 231,000 last week, and the number of people still receiving benefits continuing claims also declined slightly. Walgreens Boots Alliance shares are lower after it had a mixed quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit is a tribute to all who lost their lives on September 11, 2001, or from 9/11-related illnesses. This high-tech 83-foot tractor trailer transforms into an 1,100-square-foot exhibit, a tool to educate people about 9/11. Visit it in a city near you and join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good and never forget. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Here's the deal. I've had constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating for years. I've tried a lot of laxatives and fiber supplements, but my symptoms keep coming back.
You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Hi, this is Mike Avery, and here's what's coming up this weekend on Outdoor Magazine. First, John Dirtka on underwater spearfishing for walleye. Then Ted Harpham of Dart and Archery. In hour number 2, it's the Hex Hatch with Dave Rose. Plus, Nick Green of MUCC has a wrap-up of their annual convention. And in hour number 3, Chris Durson joins us from Rapid River Knives. Listen Saturday mornings at 6 and Sundays at 9 on WSGW.
All right, on the Art Lewis Show, again, Charlie in for Art this morning at 9:27. This Thursday edition. Art does return tomorrow, just a quick one day off. We're having a conversation this morning at this time with the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame, the president, Jessica Thunberg, who's also the AD at Bay City Central High School. And the inductees have been announced for this year and the ceremony coming up in November. Jessica, again, we appreciate your time this morning. So let's get into it. You have, how many inductees will you do this year?
So this year we have 8 inductees. Well, actually, it's kind of 9 because one of them is a doubles tennis pair. So they're together. They're being inducted together for their skill and their trade. But that's really technically 8.
Can you let's do an overview of who we were going to find having a chance to be honored coming up in your ceremony in November?
Okay. Well, we have Nicole Bills. She's a gymnast. And then Eric Devendorf, basketball player. Chip Haggis is a longtime softball coach in the area. Art Krawcheck is a baseball coach. Bruce McDonald and BJ Talley are the tennis doubles combination. They were state champions in doubles tennis. Mike Panasic, he's a football player. He was a kicker that made it to the NFL. Gary Vandemark, who is a track and field guy, and then Michelle Williams, who is a volleyball player. So if you notice, we've hit them all. We've hit all the sports this year, and that's going to make it a more interesting ceremony than some years past, where sometimes you get heavy in one sport or another, or heavy in one school or another. We feel we've got a really nice selection here that the voters put together. I think it's going to be a great ceremony.
And you talked about the history, because some of the names, I was looking through some of the information I have, some you would say would be more recent than others, that you're going back several decades to do the honoring of when these sports, they were stars in their sports.
Correct. For example, when we're talking about I've brought them up a couple of times now, our doubles tennis players, they were state champions for doubles tennis in 1957. So we're really trying to dig back into some of those names that maybe have been forgotten, and make sure they're highlighted and put on that ballot, because they deserve to be in, and they have great accomplishments, but over time people do forget. I mean, I'm not even doing the math here. 65 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so about 65 years ago. So, I mean, let's face it, many of our voters might not even know who those people are, but they read their resume and go, hey, they belong in. How have they not been in yet? So we're really trying to dig back into some of those names.
When you're dealing with history and those you're trying to honor, sometimes you can do so with the individual. Mm-hmm. Who's still around. Other times they might be with family. From those two perspectives, when you contact the person who's going to be inducted, are they even aware that they're nominated, or is this total surprise? Or
well, when they're being when they know they're being inducted, they've been on the ballot. So they did probably see the ballot and know it was on there, and I'm sure a family member told them or whatever. But when we call them, they just know they were on the ballot at that point. Now, when they get on the ballot, there is a chance that maybe they have no idea somebody put their name in for nomination. It could have been a family member, a friend, somebody was on a team with them. So there is a chance that when their name shows up on the ballot, they have no idea that they were going to be on the ballot this year.
Total surprise.
Yes, it is. And then we had some other surprises too. We have a President's Award that we give out, and this year that President's Award is going to Janet Beatty. And how we've taken our President's Award is we find somebody who's made a great contribution in athletics in our area, but maybe wasn't an all-state person or a major college contributor or a pro level person, but somebody who maybe was really involved in youth sports, or we've had announcers, we've had officials, we've had different people who have made a major contribution, but maybe it's not in the form of awards. So this year, Janet Beatty is our President's Award recipient, and she is a longtime diving coach in our area. She's worked with pretty much kids at every high school in our area and has done that for many, many years. So she's being recognized for that. And like I said, when we go back to our teams and stuff, we're trying to highlight those teams that have really done some significant things. And also getting back into teams that maybe have been forgotten. So this year, we have the 1982 Handy Baseball team, Bay City Handy Baseball team, and 1982 Bay City Western Wrestling team. Both of those were fabulous teams. Didn't quite make it to the state championship and winning the whole thing, but we're right up there. And so we're excited to have both those teams go in this year.
The inductees themselves invited to the ceremony? Are they all invited to speak, or how does the induction happen?
Yes. So we have them come up and speak. The big thing is we put them on a shot clock and say, hey, this is the time we want to kind of keep it in. Because as you know, as you get there and you're around probably former teammates and family and friends, the stories start rolling, and they're great and they're awesome stories. But we also sometimes it can drag on a little bit. So they get a few minutes to get up there and thank who they want to thank, maybe say a significant story, try to keep it in 5 minutes, but even the teams, they pick a representative to get up there and maybe share a few moments from their season that were most memorable. So it's a fun night. Usually, all of our inductees are there. I don't know that we've ever had one not be able to come unless, unfortunately, they're deceased when they are inducted. And then usually a family member comes in their place. But I can't name a time where one of our inductees, I mean, we've had people fly in from, California, Louisiana. They make the effort to be here, and we really appreciate that.
And let's talk about that night itself. You already talked about when it is and where, and we'll remind listeners again. But how does the night unfold? How does it all take place?
Well, we start with a social hour at the beginning, kind of when people are arriving, and we do that for, actually, I say it's a social hour, but it's more like an hour and a half, where we invite people in, and it's a great time for people to catch up and see who's there. And then we have a nice dinner, a nice sit-down dinner. We do a little bit of an introduction before the dinner, just kind of introducing who everybody is. And we do award our scholarship winners. The one other thing I haven't mentioned is that we give out a $750 scholarship to a senior from every high school in Bay County. So we have 6 high schools in Bay County, and each high school gets a $750 scholarship for a student there. So our 6 high schools are Bay City All Saints, Bay City Central, Bay City Western, Pinconning, John Glenn, and Essexville Garber are the 6 high schools that fall into our area. Now, obviously, there used to be other high schools one that I mentioned is Bay City Handy. So you're hearing other schools that I'm mentioning here, but currently we have 6 high schools that we award those scholarships to.
Wow, that's interesting. Is that just given to the school and they decide, or are there parameters they have to work with, or?
No, each school I think kind of does it differently. Some kids go on and we have a scholarship application right on our website. So some kids find it. I think there are some schools that do a committee and then they just send us the name of one application. That happens sometimes where we get one from that school, and I think they've kind of already narrowed it down and they send it to us. We kind of leave that in the hands of the athletic directors at the schools to get the word out there how they want to, and then we pick one from each school. So we start the dinner and we do that at the beginning, and highlight those kids and give them their scholarship, and then we have dinner, and then after dinner is when we get into our main program, where we get into our President's Award, our all of our inductees, our teams. And we just put those in an order that we think will flow well for the night. And we get into it, and that's how our whole ceremony goes.
And how then, getting back to the Sports Hall of Fame itself, again at the Dow Bay Area Family Y, how are they represented? Plaque? Are there items from their playing days, or?
So it's a wall display, and what we've moved to is in the digital age. One thing we found is when we had our previous display at the community center, we were doing an individual plaque of each person. The issue with that is that it was getting too full. We didn't have any wall space. The display was getting too big. And then it just becomes very expensive too, to do that all the time. So what we've done now is we have a display where there's a plaque for each year. So like this class will go up and it'll say the class of 2022 and all the names will be listed on it. And then there's two touch screens where you can click on it and you can read the bios of each of those people. There's pictures, there's bios. You can see what they've accomplished. So their name is highlighted. You can see that, and then you can still look up and see their individual accomplishments if you would like to do that on each of those years.
Technology.
Yes, it is. And it makes it easy to expand and not outgrow a space.
Yeah, I can understand that because as you continue on through the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Well, Jennifer, let's remind listeners again how we're going to get information and tickets so everyone can attend and enjoy the November ceremonies.
Yes. So the ceremony is November 13th. It's at the DoubleTree in Bay City. And you can get tickets by going to our website, by calling me here at Bay City Central. My direct line is 989-891-0602. The best way to get in touch with us is to email us at baycountysportshalloffame@gmail.com. And that's the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with us. We also have a Facebook page. We encourage people to follow that as we're always putting up new information and highlighting our inductees. And sometimes we even pull some out from the past and put them up there just to refresh everybody's memory. So we would love to have more followers, and we do put announcements on there quite a bit about deadlines and when you need to do things if you're going to nominate someone. So also encourage people to do that.
And I should ask too, for your online presence with your website, do you have the complete listing of all the winners for this year and all the past, or what can we find there?
Yep. If you go on our website, we have all of our past inductees. You can click on them individually. There's the nomination form. There's ticket information. And I should clear up by saying the tickets don't officially go on sale usually till August 1st. So as I'm saying, they want to come. We will be getting that out there closer to August, as July's a little early for the November ceremony. But on our website, you'll see our scholarship winners and just general information about the history of the Hall of Fame and how it got started. So we're still working on it, as with anything. Websites and technology and all that stuff, you got to keep it up to date. So we're in the process of kind of doing an overhaul on it right now, but you can still find a lot of information on there.
Well, Jennifer Thunberg, we appreciate your time and with the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame president here in the end of June, getting into July. Also the AD at Bay City Central High School. Even though it's summer, my guess is as a high school AD, since sports in high schools, not literally, there's always something going on year round.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm here today. I was at a conference for a couple of days and now I'm back, and I'll take some time off here around the 4th, but we keep going. People they're getting ready for the next school year, and we're getting some coaches in place. So we'll keep busy.
That's to do. Well, you're busy in a couple of different ways. We appreciate your time this morning, and we wish you well in both aspects as the athletic director of Bay City Central and, of course, as the president of the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame. Thanks for your time today, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Again, that's Jennifer Thunberg with the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame. And we'll say goodbye to Jennifer so we can take a break and continue with more of the Art Lewis Show coming up on WSW in just a moment.
I'm retired Army Colonel Martin Blank, and I'm a Republican running for the state Senate. I'm not a politician. I'm a soldier. And I'm running for the state Senate because Lansing career politicians are failing our families. Average families can't afford groceries. Gas is heading towards $6 a gallon, and many of our neighbors are struggling to pay their mortgages or rent. The economy no longer works for people like us, and Lansing career politicians are doing nothing about it. It's time for a change, to go in a new direction. We've had enough of Lansing career politicians and their broken promises. It's time to put state government back on your side. I'm proud of my military service, the 23 years I spent serving you and protecting your interests. And as your state senator, I'll protect your interests once again. This is Martin Blank, Republican candidate for state Senate. I ask for your vote on August 2nd. Thanks for listening.
Paid for by Martin Blank for state Senate.
I tend to second guess dinners with friends because they're often interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit Creon.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON.com.
RocketGrabPlus.com. This week's deal on RocketGrabPlus.com is for the Vino Wine Warehouse Summer Festival. It would normally cost you $30, but you are getting it for $15. The Vino Wine Warehouse features over 1,000 retail wine items, 16 draft craft beers, a full liquor section, and a unique modern menu featuring a lot of appetizers at low Bay City prices. Head to RocketGrabPlus.com right now to snag your deal. RocketGrabPlus.com.
Here at Total Wine & More, you'll love what you find, especially our totally low prices.
That rosé you recommended was a hit. What should we try for more fun in the sun this weekend?
This silver tequila makes a refreshing Tequila Sunrise.
Perfect. Wow, that price is refreshing too.
Love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Pickup and delivery available at TotalWine.com. Drink responsibly, B21.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. It's the collectors. It's those credit cards you ran up trying to start your business. Now you found out that a DBA hurts the family and brings the pain home.
Do you remember hearing these commercials on radio? For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped customers get millions in credit. It's no wonder they call him the godfather of credit. Ray Reynolds will get your score above 750. Do you need $50,000 of corporate credit? By using corporate credit, you can finance a business, buy real estate, and stock under a corporation. Take advantage of numerous tax write-offs only available to a corporation. Now you can call Ray's webinar at 800-662-3969 and get your credit score up to 750 and receive a $1,000 cash credit card within days. Call 800-662-3969 to find out more about his secrets to success in helping fix and improve your credit. Remember, a new corporation set up right now will have the 2 years you need for a line of credit up to $150,000. In 2022, it's time to get your life back. Call 800-662-3969. That's 800-662-3969.
From the Premier Kitchen and Bath Gallery Showroom and Design Center Studios, you are listening to 100.5 and 790 WSGW.
.945 WSGW and you. Art Lewis Show. Thursday morning, Art's off just for today. It's a quickie day off. He returns tomorrow. Charlie Rood for Art Lewis. We've got a little open line time. If you want to get in between now and 10 o'clock, we'll entertain your calls. 752-6111. Dare I say 989-752-6111. Got to make sure we get that area code in there. Again, thanks to Jennifer Thunberg from the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame. She's the president and also AD at the Bay City Central High School. And it's going to be fun in November. It's already fun to be nominated and also then to know that you have the inductions coming up for the athletes with the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame. All the different counties and areas that have the celebration of the athletics. That's always fun to do. Sports a unifier in a lot of ways, as much as sports can be a divider when it comes to rooting for teams and things like that. But hopefully there's unification when it comes to honoring the individuals who had a chance to have skills to provide to whatever sport was theirs. Again, 989-752-6111 if you choose to join in. Al from Midland has decided to do that. So we'll get Al's call going here. Let's see. Al, I think I've got everything done correctly. Morning to you, Al. Thanks for holding on.
Good morning, Charlie. I'm just being patient there.
Patience is a virtue, you know, Al.
Yeah, sometimes it is. I'm a very impatient person most of the time, but
what's going on?
Well, I was thinking back to I'm back on this abortion that got overturned, the Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg had warned at least several times that this law was unconstitutional and sooner or later it would be overturned. She had warned multiple times. And Obama had 8 years in office and opportunities all over the place. If he had been off the golf course maybe 3 or 4 less times, maybe he could have codified that law and made it constitutional with the help of the Congress that he controlled at that time. But he didn't do it. So I don't blame Trump. Trump's voters wanted change. They wanted people that held the Constitution to the standard that the Constitution needs to be held to. So he did his job, and his voters wanted him to do his job. So I don't see a problem with the Roe v. Wade being overturned. If they had seriously wanted to protect that law, they had ample opportunity to do it, and nobody lifted a finger to fix it. So
this is where we are in 2022.
That's why we're here at this point and looking at the way it is. So the people are bellyaching about it. They got nobody to blame but themselves and their party that they could have fixed it. They had opportunities up the yin-yang to fix it, and they did nothing.
Well, again, as I said, this is where we sit in 2022, and so much still needs to unfold from whatever took place and how it took place. The Supreme Court has ruled, and now the states have a chance to deal with on an individual basis. Right.
Well, anyhow, Charlie, you have a nice weekend, sir.
Appreciate you calling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Well, and again, depending on for whatever reasons you think a particular vote took place and why, I mean, it's happened. And that's one of the powers that a president has when it comes to the nominations of Supreme Court justices and what the justices may or may not do. I know there's talk about what justices say when the nomination process is going on and the questioning and here's this case and how would you rule and what do you think about this? Is this, representation in law from historical perspective? And it just, it gets into political speech, which unfortunately the Supreme Court has become. It has become a political entity of its own right. As you hear of quote unquote conservative justice, liberal justices, not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be independent, supposed to be nonpartisan, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, Mike is shouting in from Thomas Township. Mike, good morning to you. Thanks for holding on. What's going on?
Good morning, Charlie. Not too bad. It's a pretty good day today. It's going to be a little warm, though. But, hey, I wanted to talk about the millions and millions and millions of dollars that the Democratic Party is spending of our taxpayer money for this January 6th fiasco. They're only giving one side of the story. Nobody's allowed to say anything that contrary to what they're, trying to push. And nobody really represents the Republicans on the committee. There's 2 of them that are, rhinos. And so, what this money is just wasted. I mean, there's so many things that could be done with this money, welfare, help some of the, add some more to the veterans, helping them. But they just don't have any conscience whatsoever. There was this letter that they had on. I watch the regular news, and I also watch Fox News. And they had this letter that this one woman, said that she wrote, and this other fellow, I don't know their names, came on and said, no, he wrote that. And why don't you do a handwriting analyst, take a look at it, because he says, I wrote that, not her. And they won't allow that. In other words, they said that they scrutinized it, and it's fine, But so everything is just wasting time and money, and they just want Trump, and they'll do anything they can to get him. But we shouldn't have to pay for that, to have them destroy Trump.
Well, imagine politicians wasting time and money. Just never heard of such a thing.
No, I know. I mean, I'm a realist.
I get it.
You can't do a darn thing about it.
Well,
I mean, just like the gas prices and things. Well, we're doing everything. Oh, they're not doing anything. Not only not, doing everything, they're not doing anything to help the situation. They cause the situation. And drugs. Oh my God, so many people are dying from drugs. And we have an open border. They're bringing it in. The cartels are happy because they can get the stuff delivered at the expense of us taxpayers. Because they're flying people up into the like New York and all over the country, and they're hauling their drugs and but. And that is just my opinion,
I hear what you're saying, and it's just, and I appreciate you expressing it. A few years ago, you were happier.
Oh gosh, yes.
And now you're not.
I'm 82 years old. I didn't expect to have to live out the rest of my life like this. I mean, I'm worried about my annuities and stuff. I mean, they destroyed the stock market. They've fortunately bonds are still hanging in there, but
depending on your age, either you have enough years left to say, well, this is a bump, or when you're in a situation like yours, I understand it's very more personal, more personal.
And 2 years. I mean, I you destroy a lot of your savings and stuff. People that have put away for comfortable retirements, they could do some traveling and stuff. Now they got to think twice about it. And I realize that everything isn't due to the administration. COVID and stuff like that caused a lot of problems too.
It's always the case. Whoever is in power is either going to get to the accolades or the blame. That's when you're at the top. That's what happens. Mike, I got to stop you there only because I got to take a break, and that's the way it is. A few years ago, Mike was a happier camper, and we were getting calls from other folks who were unhappy because of what was going on in the White House. And 10 years before that, the same thing was, you look back at the presidential leadership and the parties in power, as it's changed, the phone calls change, the comments change. That's how it goes.
Let me tell you about the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. For parties big or small, if you're feeding a whole bunch of SOBs, then let the Lumberjack Restaurant take care of the grub. Mouth-watering ribs, finger-licking chicken, dangerously creamy mac and cheese. Everyone in the neighborhood will be begging for an invite. So get your axe on that fancy phone of yours and visit lumberjackcatering.com to see how you can upgrade your next event with Lumberjack Catering.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Ricky LeBlanc, Chestnut Hill, Mass. Admitted in Massachusetts only. While this firm maintains joint responsibility, most cases of this type are referred to other attorneys for principal responsibility. Members, Paul J. Morgan, Winter Park, Florida. Nick Nicewander, Florence, Kentucky. Rich Graybo, 970 Farmington Avenue, West Hartford, Connecticut. 860-904-7789. Michael Bo Gonzalez, admitted Louisiana. Filing number LA-22-13614. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other attorneys. I am a paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention U.S. Marines. Veterans were exposed to toxic chemicals in the drinking water on Camp Lejeune. June between 1953 and 1987. Exposure to these chemicals increased the risk for cancer, birth defects, and other serious health problems. If you or a loved one were exposed to contaminated water on Camp Lejeune, you may be entitled to compensation. A new law gives legal rights to those harmed. It is not too late to take action. Call Sokolov Law now for a free legal consultation at 1-800-397-8100, 1-800-397-8100, 1-800-397-8100.
School's out for summer, but if your business is running QuickBooks, you'll never get a break. QuickBooks manual processes, integration difficulties, and glitchy delays will leave you scrambling for the numbers you need. Failing to graduate to NetSuite will leave you stuck in summer school while your friends party. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 cloud financial system, no matter how big your business grows. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. That's why NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, used by over 29,000 growing businesses. Automate your process with NetSuite and close your books in no time. 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since graduating from QuickBooks to NetSuite. Right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program, so graduating has never been easier. Head to netsuite.com/radar right now. netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
All right, we're at 9:58 on WSGW, and as we're heading toward the news at 9, Mark in Bay City, we got about a minute here for your phone call. I apologize. Apparently, my clock management is...
Oh, no worries.
What do you got going on today, Mark?
Well, I'm just a little perplexed. I get these Democrats chiming on my phone wanting me to donate $5, $10 for the Democrat Party. But then I look at I look at Maxine Waters, I look at Pelosi, and they're all north of $100 million as far as their net worth. And yet with inflation, they're trying to hit up everybody for $5, $10 to donate. If they really believe in their parties, how come, they're $100 and some million dollars north? The salary is not that. And I just don't understand why we keep these people in office for so long. There should be a threshold. You got Leahy falling out, breaking a hip, and at some point in time, you just got to hang it up and let new blood come in. But you shouldn't be making $100 million leaving office. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I've always thought that, first of all, we've had politicians in place, all parties represented, way too long. They get entrenched in power, and I don't know if it's because they're continuing to do a great job for the constituents that they represent, or voters just like, hey, you know what? She's been there, he's been there all my life, so must be okay. So just keep on.
Yeah.
And the lucrative packages that are available while they're in office, also made available once they leave office because of whatever power that they have been able to procure for themselves. Yeah. It's mind-boggling, but you're right. Give me some youngsters or some younger generations on both sides. Nothing against it. I love the mature generation, but at some point.
From the premier kitchen and bath gallery studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW FM, Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Biden says the Supreme Court's decision to end the constitutional right to abortion is destabilizing, and he hopes Democrats on Capitol Hill will take the next step. Mr. Biden's just spoken at the finish of the NATO summit in Spain. Correspondent Steve Dorsey has details from Madrid.
Mr. Biden criticized the Supreme Court, calling it outrageous and a mistake for it to strike down Roe versus Wade.
I believe we have to codify Roe v. Wade in the law. And the way to do that is to make sure the Congress votes to do that. And if the filibuster gets in the way, it's like voting rights. It should be, we provide an exception for this.
He also said in meetings with world